With week number 1 in the books, we press forward with the rest of what is promising to be a remarkable season of racing. Welcome along, ladies and gents, to RaceSpotTV and to Friday Night Primetime, brought to you by the iR-04 Challenge Series. Today, we head to one of the jewels of American racing, where our drivers will battle it out around the twists and turns of Watkins Glen, but also, crucially, battling along a straight with slipstream and overtaking will take much precedence today. With that out of the way, my name is Zach Sweeney. I'll be joined by Cameron Roger alongside me in the commentary booth, with Zach Johnson behind the scenes. And well, Cam, last week the season got off to spectacular fashion, so the bar is well and truly high for Watkins.
Absolutely. That race in Austria just 1 week ago, it was intense. The battle up and down the field. We were, trying to look at all these different battles everywhere. There's so much going on. And yeah, I mean, really just the sprint races in this car is such a good mix. And this track as well, it should be fast and frantic. And that is exactly what we'd love to see.
Of course, we are on the Cup layout for Watkins Glen, so you don't navigate through the whole track. So there is also, in that sense, a slightly longer straight towards the penultimate corner as well. Only 7 turns. So in qualifying, Cam, of course, less turns means less opportunity to make time up as you're going around the lap. Could we see some close qualifying? Of course, we are expecting that, and of course, that means that there might be some people potentially out of place, because you only get 2 laps in iRacing qualifying. If you mess up one of them, if you mess up both of them, you certainly are going to be in a pickle because of how close it can be.
Yeah, there's not much room really for improving your lap time as well. Not only losing it, but also improving. If you see people doing, consistently fast times, we're going to see literally thousandths of a second between some of these guys, and it's going to be amazing to see that, especially as you say in this qualifying session where they've got to push it to the absolute limit and just really try and work out what is going on. But yeah, certainly, especially the the inner loop at the top of the hill, that's really going to be the main place that you see a difference in these lap times as it's coming in. And already just a couple of tenths separating the top 2.
Yeah, absolutely. As Redford goes in within half a tenth of Paquette there, who is at the moment on a provisional pole position with a 1:10.5. So again, a very short lap time. A 20-minute race in store for us today, so that should equate to quite a few laps of racing action. Of course, as we were saying, with the slipstream down both the pit straight, that run towards the chicane, and of course the run towards the penultimate corner of turn 6 as well. Plenty of opportunity to get those moves done. Similar, really, to how we saw last time out at Red Bull Ring, Cam. And well, that really was a race that went down all the way to the wire. We had battles of up to, I think, 3, 4, maybe even 5 cars at some point. So Watkins Glen certainly promising to be quite good.
Yeah, it's an amazing sort of spectacle with this car, just how well it works on so many different tracks. And then you put that as well with one of the major fan favorites, especially Watkins Glen, that's been revamped in the last few months as well. It's just an amazing opportunity to come and have such a short, sharp race here at this track, as we've seen. Tylen's there doing a 12.9. That's not quite going to get him up towards the pole position just yet.
Yeah, no, not quite. And of course, with 3 minutes left to go, some of these guys will probably be finishing off their first lap, starting their second lap, which you do have to do on the bounce, because as soon as you cross that line to finish your first lap, you have started your second lap. So if you go back to the pit lane to do another lap, yeah, tough luck, because iRacing says no, that's not happening. We're on board with Maraneo as he goes through turn 1. He, at the moment, inside the top 5. 4 tenths covering the top 5. That is a bigger gap than I certainly would have been expecting. But look past that, behind him, Fox and McGlade and Moran as well. They are quite close behind, relatively speaking. So again, as we saw with the Red Bull Ring, should be quite a close fight amongst the midfield. But look at the top 2, still separated by less than half a tenth of a second. And well, to real life observers, people who might not be into racing as much, half a tenth of a second, what is that? Absolutely nothing. But in racing, can certainly mean the difference between getting on pole position P1 and starting from second place on the grid.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's a thousandth or a few thousandths or even a second, as long as you're getting yourself to that finish line. That is all that you can do. And yeah, for sure, I mean, thousands of a second in these cars, and the speed that they can do is literally coming down to almost centimeters. Just a front wing, nose ahead as they come across the line. So it's it's amazing just how close they can be. But with the lack of corners, really, you have turn 1, and then 2, 3, 4 easily flat out onto this back straight, and then coming into this inner loop. This is really where you can gain so much time. This is the technical part of this track, where you've got to link up multiple corners, send it over the curbs, and really have a load of confidence, as we see Carulli there doing that quite well. And now as he comes around the corner, we'll be staying to the right-hand side to come already into the final couple of corners. That is just how short this track is.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is that chicane and that right-hander where you loop back through towards the penultimate corner where these guys really will just have to send it. Of course, these iR-04s have got downforce, not quite as much as the likes of Formula 1 cars, but still enough to have them a decent amount of grip. And going through that chicane, you really do just have to send it. Not too much, of course, because they are quite high curbs. These cars certainly will bottom out, and that is where the time can be lost or gained. It is pushing the limit, but not overstepping the mark too much, as Caruana, I think, does a 10.7. Gets him up into P3, so not at all a bad lap, up onto the second row of the grid. But yeah, confidence really will be key. Consistency as well, because while it is all important getting one good lap in, of course, Piquet a 1:10.5, all good getting that lap in, you've got to keep that up consistently, lap after lap after lap. And as we're saying, with the limited amount of corners, one mistake, losing that momentum, as is very crucial in these cars, really will have some pretty massive consequences if you get it wrong.
Yeah, and that, just losing a tenth of a second is so difficult to get back as well with the lack of corners that there are around here. He's going once again, really pushing the car, sliding it way too much. The rear is going to go around there, and Caruana there from third place is going to ruin that next lap, and the best he's going to do is that third place.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is qualifying in the book. So we will take a look at how they rack up on the starting grid for 20 minutes of action here for week 2 of the iR-04 Challenge Series. And well, it was a pretty close qualifying as to be expected. But yeah, I think we're just waiting for the last couple of people to cross the line and finish their laps, as we saw Caruana there started his final lap with only about a minute left to go. And of course, you don't get to finish your lap if you cross the line. That is about it. But it is Pedro Daniel Piquet who takes pole position, a 1:10.5.98. Will Redford will join him on the front row, less than half a tenth back. Then comes Matt Caruana and Dion Santos in 3 and 4 on the second row. Paratenen and Mariano 5 and 6. Just behind them in 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th comes Harry Fox. Lewis McGlade representing the commentators there, nearly 6 tenths back in P8. Ruben Moran P9 with Anderson just behind there, rounding off the top 10. Johan Poggi just behind with, he'll have Marco Therhart for company on the 6th row of the grid. Stein Sapp P13 with Collinson P14. He'll be on the right hand side of him down in towards turn 1. Dan Kell P15. He certainly won't be happy with that. Quite a few places back on Lewis McGlade. Those two are in hot rivalry. Aguiar in P16 with Cosgrave 17th and Jenny rounding off the top 18. 1.2 seconds separating the top 18. And then we have Olivier Bastard in the number 19. 1.2 seconds back, and Bourdon rounding off in P20. He'll start right at the back of those that managed to put a lap time in qualifying. And well, Cam, very close grid. Quite a few cars, all of them barreling their way towards turn 1 on lap 1. And well, we were talking a little bit before the broadcast about how dangerous that can be on lap 1.
Yeah, this turn 1, you can really send it up the inside, and then also go wide on the outside as well, because you're trying to get the run up the hill into that inner loop chicane. Is going to be very tricky indeed, as these drivers are getting on the grid to start this race.
Indeed, they are waiting for the last couple. Of course, you can see the Piquet, our pole sitter, lining up on P1. In fact, no, that's not him. We're still waiting for our pole sitter to join on the left-hand side. He'll get the racing line, the clean side of the track as well, down in towards turn 1. Just waiting for the last person. He is certainly taking his time, is Piquet, but hopefully we can get ourselves raring to go and racing for week 2 of the iR-04 Challenge Series. Still waiting for him. I think he is one of the last people we are waiting for, Cam, but yeah, he's certainly got his work cut out from down in towards turn 1.
It's going to be tricky for sure, as the lights are coming on now.
Indeed they are, and well, get ready for week 2 of the iR-04 Challenge Series. Friday night prime time here at Watkins Glen. The cup layout is underway, and it seems to be a pretty decent start from pole position, but everyone else just trying to Constantina their way through, funneling in towards turn 1. Downhill climb, the number 7 having to be defensive as the number 2 and the number 1 go side by side. The number 2 going to try and go the long way round over the curb, still side by side, but this is the crucial bit as the 7 leads from the 1 and 2. Big crash further back through T1, through the bank corner, up the hill through the S's for the first time, then down this long straight, and it seems that number 2 has got the edge over the white and blue car just in behind, but that slipstream he's crucially got at that number 1 down the back straight for the first time, and towards that chicane you can see the number 7 I think trying to get involved as well. They're going to be 3 abreast on the run. The number 2 takes the lead, the number 6 looking interested through the very deadly chicane for the first time. And that number 7 got mugged by the red and black car towards this fast right-hander for the first time. He's got himself into the lead.
And that just shows you how important that slipstream is, and we're going to see that all the way through this race. Look at this mid-pack trying to hold on to each other, coming towards the final couple of corners already to end this first lap. We're going to see quite a few laps compared to some other circuits just due to the short nature of it, and look how close they are coming through into the final corner, all going a bit wide there. A couple of drivers going out of the track limits, and we're getting a spin ahead in the final corner. 2 cars involved, the number 9, and he manages to save it, I think, just about.
Yeah, indeed he does. Manages to keep it pointing the right way, and that is going to be the all-important thing. But that's how easy it can be. That's how sensitive these cars are as we go through turn 1 for the second time. The 2 still leading the way, followed by the 7 and the number 1 car, I think, there in the white and blue. Following close pursuit, side by side they go. Very, very risky. You don't want to be going side by side there too often because you do lose a lot of momentum. Luckily for them, still certainly within the slipstream, and they have got the McLaren Golf livery just behind. 5-car train for the race lead here, and because of the straights here at Watkins Glen Cup layout, we are going to get this slipstream battle through the chicane once more, bounding it over the curbs. Really got to be committed, and the number 2 runs a little bit wide, might allow that number 1 to have a bit of a look through the right-hander, but it doesn't look like he's quite close enough. Are they working together, or is he waiting for a perfect opportune moment here?
I think he just about is, but I think it's one of these things. If you work together, I think you can sort of bump draft your way away from the guys behind, and that's going to be very important when we get to the final couple of laps and they want to work this all out. It looks like the top 5 or so are starting to break away actually from that mid-pack, and I think that's what they're going to be trying to do, is working together, maybe having a bit of a look if they can, because if he sits behind for too long, then Piquet there in 3rd place is going to be coming. But no, I think it is going to be a bit of bump drafting down towards turn number 1 to try and help pull away at the front of this grid, and they certainly looks like they know what they're doing, but Redford is holding on in the lead for now.
Yeah, certainly so. Doing a fantastic job is Redford. Managed to get into the lead on lap 1. Side by side go Santos and Piquet. Our pole sitter and that number 7 car. The green and black car side by side as they go through the final right-hander onto this back stretch. Still keeping themselves certainly within slipstream as they go 2 by 2. The race leaders side by side as Caruana wants to get himself into the race lead on the right-hand side of Redford towards the chicane. Has got to be brave on the brakes, got to be committed, and he does settle himself into the race lead. A fantastic move, as I think Santos as well has managed to get himself up onto the podium places. In doing so, though, have lost touch. The leaders 1 second now is the gap between them, and that is outside the crucial slipstream range. They're going to have to work together to get back into that, because while, yes, it's only a 20-minute race, Cam, you still have to think long game.
You certainly do, and these guys at the front are working themselves very well into a really great position actually to battle there for the lead themselves. Those 3 guys behind not able to quite hold on just yet, and as you say, Piquet needs to be careful with where they're doing those battles, otherwise they're going to be basically just losing some more time, and they'll be really just fighting out for that 3rd place if they don't work together and push themselves forward like these 2 at the front.
Absolutely, Caruana and Redford both picking their moments pretty well, but you can see Caruana running a little bit too far over the curb through turn 1. That's going to leave him vulnerable down through the S's and down the back straight. Of course, Redford all over his rear wing, practically pushing him through, getting a nice utilization of that slipstream. Not quite going to be able to get the slingshot, but look at how close he is, pushing him down this back straight towards the chicane. Is he going to eye up a move? He seems interested just to sit behind, though. No real fabrication. Is that because as soon as he pulls out to the right, he's going to hit a brick wall and not have the momentum to make that move stick? Is he trying to pull away? Because as soon as they fight, as we were saying, Cam, you go side by side, you lose that momentum around a track that's only 7 corners long. Those guys 3, 4 and 5, that's quickly going to turn a 2-horse race into a 5.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, you are right, because if you start battling, as you say, you just lose a few tenths here and there, and then you start just slowing yourselves down. So that's why, even in these sprint races, you've got to be quite careful, quite tactical with when you're making your overtakes and when you're having a look, because if you disrupt the rhythm, then you can really eventually get attacked from the guys behind, which is what you obviously want to avoid as best as possible. These 2, seemingly they've got about a second or so over Santos in 3rd place there, so it's working out pretty well for them, but Redford now needs to be careful with how he's coming back. But as you see up the hill here through 2, 3, 4, he's going to get a massive run coming to the end of the loop.
Absolutely. It might actually benefit him just to be a little bit further back. That means he can gain the speed, use the slingshot of the slipstream, and just look at the closing speed of the number 2 car, the red and black. Redford goes to the left-hand side. Caruana tries to hold him back, tries to defend. They're going to run 2 abreast as they head towards the chicane, and just look at the slingshot Redford gets. Just sitting 2.5 tenths back, coming through the S's of 2, 3 and 4. Just gets the drive down the straight and gets himself into the race lead, looking to complete the rest of the top 5. We've got Santos, Paratenen and Piquet. Our pole sitter down to P5, and that's the thing, Cam. It's so good being able to put 1 good lap in, but if you get overwhelmed by the stress of being in a pack race, you can very easily lose out quite a lot as well.
And it's difficult to get these, those places back, being sort of 3 seconds or so off the lead. Now, getting those 3 seconds back, especially around a track like this, is going to be difficult indeed. So sometimes these races are a bit momentum-based. If a driver gets loads of momentum, gets that confidence going, then it can really push yourself forward. As Redford once again is holding on to the lead as Caruana just pushes him there in towards turn number 1 as they try and get a good run. And I wonder if they're going to switch once again. We're getting a driver in the wall there. Is that McLeod? I think it is. And unfortunately, he is going to be taking some damage repairs, it looks like.
Lewis is not flying the flag high for us commentators here, and well, Dan Kell is going to be absolutely loving that one as he managed to get himself in front. But here we go, we cut our eyes back to the live action. Redford once again under pressure from Caruana, who this time going to go to the left-hand side. And I think Redford, both of them, as soon as they eye up a move, as soon as they are under threat from getting past, they just pull over to the right and just accept fate, because it's so hard to defend, and it might not even be worth defending. 13 minutes left in this race, not even halfway through, and the threat of P3, P4 and P5 still looms very high. And yeah, it's so easy for everything to go wrong, especially as we have seen a big crash a little bit earlier on. Another incident here for Charles Collington as he goes through. I think this is just after the chicane, and it gets it a little bit wrong, and once again having to get it going. And again, they do get fast repairs in this series, Cam. They can use that, but again, that time loss of having to go through the pit lane, especially around a track that you take a good portion of it at high speeds, you're going to lose quite a lot of time. So even with that fast repair, a small incident like that can be quite detrimental.
Yeah, you're right. You're basically just giving yourself a drive-through penalty for crashing, which is one, I guess, good thing I should say about the fast repairs. But unfortunately, it's not going to help you in a race as short as this. As Redford now trying to get the run this time to the outside of 4. Is he going to actually have the overspeed to get ahead? I think he might just be able to. As Caruana looks like they're doing some smart plays. As behind, actually, we're getting some side-by-side battling, just defending even in towards the inner loop. But at the front, Redford is going to be there in the lead, and Caruana down to second.
Yeah, very much so indeed. But look at these two pushing each other to the absolute limit of what they can achieve. And yeah, that's what we do love to see. 8 minutes into this race, and they probably have haven't swapped positions on quite a minority of that time. Once again, I think this is the number 15. Oh no, it's not. It's third going round in the 15 car. That's the exit that chicane has proved to be quite a tricky part of the circuit. We've seen a number of incidents there in the last couple of minutes as well. Of course, in these cars, tire temperature is a massive factor, but is it just the challenge of confidence and the amount of speed you think or you might be able to carry through that chicane that just gets the better of some people sometimes?
Oh, that's a slow car there in the final corner, and I'm trying to see, that's Towler there having a bit of a slow run, getting being pushed into the wall there. Actually, is Marinero as he gets down the inside eventually, but it looks like there's been a bit of an issue there for Towler, the number 24, and I don't know how exactly he got into that sort of position, but he was battling with Dan Kell, I saw a bit ago, maybe a bit of contact between the two.
Potentially so, and well, Dan Kell is someone who is not afraid at all to get his elbows out, but yeah, he's a couple of seconds off the 21 of Sap there in P10, so he might want to work with people to try and get himself into that top 10 position, but we'll have to wait and see how that one transpires. Approaching halfway through this race, 10 minutes and 45 seconds left to go, and we are eyes on with the fight for the podium. It's Santos that leads the way with Paratanen and Piquet 4 and 5, trailing in behind. A 3-car battle here for P3, and of course that podium place, it is, it's something that these guys are aiming for. A podium is always a good target to go for, especially in sprint races. To get a podium feels quite nice. So the number 3 and the number 7 behind certainly will want to try and get themselves in front, and they are going to fight for it. But at the moment, I think Partanen he's probably the person in the worst position here, isn't he, Cam? Because he's got to look forwards as well as backwards, and that just isn't a headache you want at all.
Yeah, it's a difficult position, but he just needs to stay in the slipstream of Santos ahead. That's really going to help him and trying to defend, but it might not be enough as Piquet there is going to be getting a double slipstream, a huge run coming out through turn number 4. We've seen a massive defense up the inside there as well from Santos. He's done that a few times actually, trying to really break that slipstream. It's worked out actually though, because for another lap he's been able to hold on there, and it's not been possible for the guys behind to get that movement for now, somehow holding on to the two guys behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping them well and truly in tow. And of course, that threat from Anderson a little bit further back. Yes, he's about 2.5 seconds back, but that gap can very quickly close, especially if there's 3 cars in a very, very heated battle. And while as the time ticks down, as the laps tick down towards the checkered flag, that desperation will certainly start to creep in, especially for a high placing position, such as one inside the top 5. You can see Santos going to the right-hand side to defend. The number 7 of Paquette pushing Partenin down this pit straight. And the number 6 in the McLaren Golf livery of Santos are just at the moment just holding station, breaking the toe to the right hand side, not really going for any harsh movements to defend, just more of a deterrence really more than anything, just to say let's just maybe we'll work together a little bit, or just to break the toe and limit that slingshot effect, because as we saw with Caruana and Redford in P1 and P2, and as we're going to see now as they head down towards the chicane once more, and it's probably potentially another swap for the race lead as Redford just sails past on the left hand side. That slipstream, that slingshot is so powerful. That's something that Santos is going to want to avoid.
And you've got to look out for that on the final lap as well. Do you want to be leading, or do you want to be second place in your respective battle? That is going to be quite an important one. It seems like that run up towards the end of the loop is the the more important one. This one out of 5 into 6 isn't quite so powerful there yet. And the braking zone is obviously not too much either coming in towards turn 6. Such a fast corner, especially with the run that you get using this cup layout as well. But Caruana once again sitting behind, and I'm sure is going to try and repay the favour coming up the back straight this time around.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to want to do that, and it is just going to be a game of chess. Having that slipstream on the final lap might be the difference between winning and losing this race, or finishing P3 and P4 as Partenin and Santos still fighting it out in their 3-car battle with the pulsator of Piquet just behind them as again. And we are going to see the effect of this slipstream once more, as it is just deja vu, the repeat of the same lap over and over again, it seems, as once more the number 3 of Partenin trying to mount an attack, trying to get in front, but it seems a little bit too close. You can see Santos just going defensive to the right hand side. Partenin going to pull out to the left. It's going to be a tough ask to go around the outside of a chicane as fast as this one, and that is going to be what Partenin is going to know. He's going to tuck in behind, and he's going to live to fight another day. Interestingly though, no swap for the race lead on this lap. Redford and Caruana staying 1 and 2 as they were, so yeah, maybe Caruana wasn't quite close enough to go for the move, or potentially he didn't want to. Either way, both of them have broken free from this pack of 3 behind, and yeah, they are absolutely running away with it at the moment, it seems.
They certainly are, and I'm surprised actually how Santos has been able to hold on to this for so many laps. I know he's breaking the slipstream, although it goes a bit wide there in turn number 7, and that is going to definitely have a bit of a run for Piquet. He's going all the way to the pit wall as we're going almost 3 wide, coming towards the braking zone on the outside once again for Partenin, but it isn't close enough. He's going to have to try and get a bit of a run here, as Santos is going to have a bit of a bad exit there, but he's possibly too close to get a run as we come up the hill. He's not going to get that slingshot effect, so around the outside, side by side through turn number 3 they go, as Partenin trying to hold on. This will be the outside then for turn number 4, and the outside once again for the chicane when we get there.
Yeah, absolutely. He has them to do it old school, not using the slipstream at all, just using raw engine power. And you can see Piquet trying to push him through, trying to utilize the gap that Partenin is going to open down and towards that chicane. Once again, stuck on the outside and has to concede place. So they're approaching the back marker of the 22. That could eye things up as well. As you can see, Santos straight away to the inside. All 3 of them prying their way through that gap. Do not want to lose any time stuck behind traffic. It's something we often talk about in endurance racing. Not quite as often in sprint racing, but when it does happen, it can have a massive effect, as we have seen in previous races. The number 7 Piquet looking to the inside of the penultimate corner, going to think better of it. And the 24 again, Towler having issues. Unfortunately for him, it really hasn't been his day. And third again coming into this corner, really hasn't been his day either, Cam.
Yeah, that is an interesting one. That must have been a continuation of an incident coming out of the second part of the inner loop, I would assume, because that was certainly I should say a repeated issue. But it's a very difficult chicane that you really got to attack the curbs, and if you hit them just at the wrong angle, yeah, you really sort of send the car flying. And that's really the big part about this track actually, is the curbs. On every single corner, apart from the run up the hill here, as we come back to this battle, you don't really use you use the curbs a lot. I should say. Let's see now, once again, can Piquet push them through, try and get a bit of a push draft as you come towards the inner loop. The number 3 on the outside, Partenin having to back out of that battle once again, and Santos somehow once again holding on to this, even there being on the inside and not having any slipstream. It just is working out for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Piquet got caught out by Parson just a little bit going into that right hand there. Just didn't quite, tried to tuck in behind and was caught out by I think the rear end of the number 3. Was scared a little bit wide there. But yeah, Santos is doing a fantastic job of keeping these guys behind, parking his car exactly where he needs to. And I think Parson committing to the wrong side of the track probably is a better idea, maybe to tuck in behind, because one of these laps, probably towards the end, Piquet maybe is going to eye up a move to just follow Santos through on the inside, and that might be his best bet if he wants to get himself inside the top 4. But then again, being that third place guy, you don't want to go for a move, because if Piquet and Parton start battling, Santos has got a bit more breathing room, and they might actually lose that opportunity to have that fight a little bit later on. So yeah, Piquet has got quite a bit of a headache. Does he just wait and potentially wait for 3 and 4 to crash? As once again we see the race leaders of Redford and Caruana going side by side once more. It is just a case of the car on the outside, the trailing car, using that slingshot to just absolutely barrel away up into the race lead. And with only 3 minutes and 50 seconds left to go, Camp, are these two waiting, saving their battling for that final couple of laps where they really have to give it their all? Because at the moment, if they hold on to P1, it doesn't really mean much, because the car behind just goes straight back past them on the next lap. Come those last 2 laps, it really means a heck of a lot more.
And it could be some cat and mouse games of trying to maybe slow down at a certain point to try and get the other person ahead, so that you can then slipstream back past and things like that. There could be a couple of games going on with that one. We'll have to see how much they want the win, as Caruana leads across the line this time around. 3 minutes 20 seconds to go, and these guys really they've pulled away, haven't they, from that battle. Now to 5 seconds towards that P3 battle, and it's really been a bit of a slower one for these guys. They continually are battling, and actually just behind them we've got Anderson and co starting to come up behind them as well with this 3-way battle. But as we come back to it, Parson is on the back, but Paquette has dropped off the back, so it's now a 2-way battle for 3rd place.
Yeah, absolutely. Piquet, I think, falling victim to that slight mistake, falling out of the slipstream range, just side by side. Go Partonen and Santos down the back straight once more. Is the number 3 actually going to be able to complete this move? Is he going to go for it around the outside once more, having to tuck in behind, and Santos doing everything he needs to do, parking his car in all the right places. This is the trailing pack you were talking about, Cam, as we see Lasud and Anderson getting onto the back of this fight for P3. Their time is running out. They're going to have to push for it, and they're going to have to limit little skirmishes like that, because as soon as they do, that definitely runs the risk of them not being able to catch, and it just has to be that mutual agreement between potentially all 4 of them at some point, as the 16 of Poggy and the 17 of Moran also close on to this little battle. That, hey, is it worth fighting over P6 if we have an opportunity to fight for more?
It's difficult. There's only 2 minutes to go now, so it is going to be difficult for them to catch on pace. But you are right. If it was a little bit earlier, maybe 5-10 minutes earlier, you would basically say just bump draft each other, or maybe doing the switcheroo of the slingshot effect every lap, and just trade those positions continuously to try and save it. As we come back to this battle for the lead, we've still got a couple of laps to go in this race, but who is going to be coming out on top on this lap? So it looks like Redford is going to be getting a massive push there coming towards the inner loop. So I wonder if Caruana is just deciding he wants to be 2nd place. He wants to wait to that final lap to actually really make his overtake stick.
Yeah, potentially so. He's really very much playing chess in this race. And yeah, you're completely right in the terms of pack racing. It is certainly a skill that you have to master with experience. Getting word that Parton is the Lotus 79 champion of last season, and he's up inside the top 4, doing so well and showing that he can do so well in different disciplines, and certainly proving his mettle amongst the top split here in the iR-04 Challenge Series. Back to this fight, this 3-way battle between Parton and the Lotus 79 champion, putting his championship experience to good use to hold on, to use his championship experience to try and get past Santos there and get himself up into P3, doing his absolute best, but still not quite there. As we're onto the white flag, is Caruana going to go for the move this time around?
And this is really the one who is going to come out on top, because this is the lap, and they need to work out where they're going to be. And this is really the final run up the hill, and it looks like somehow again Santos is being able to hold on to that gap. He's got a really good run out of turn 1 that time around, and Parton is going to struggle as we come back to this battle for the lead into the inner loop on the final lap.
Here we go. You can see Redford having a good offensive. Caruana trying to tuck in behind. That move didn't quite work out for him. Redford into the race lead with only half a lap left to go in this race. They have been fighting all race long, trading places lap after lap, but it all comes down to this. 2 more corners left to go in week 2 of the iR-04 Challenge Series here at Watkins Glen. Redford to the left-hand side. Caruana's going to wait for that gap to open up. Pulls to the left. He's got to be brave on the brakes. It's just a dabbing towards this penultimate corner. Side by side. Redford keeping him honest. Goes very wide through the penultimate corner. Does it give him the inside for the final corner? Yes, it does. The 1 and 2 side by side. They make contact. Caruana spins into the barrier. Redford is going to come across the line. He's going to take what is going to be a very controversial victory here in the iR-04 Challenge Series. He's definitely worked hard for it, but controversy on that final lap. Partanen gets himself into P3 on that final lap. Because of it, he got that podium. He didn't quite get in front of Santos to earn it, but he certainly got it at the end of it anyway. This was the trailing pack behind, side by side as they go, the number 9 and the white car. Drag race to the line, that 21, and 3 abreast nearly as the number 14 wanted to get involved. That certainly was spicy, and well, we waited 20 minutes for a bit of action between those front 2 Cam, and well, we got it pretty much all or nothing on that last lap.
Oh, that was an amazing battle into 6 and 7. We didn't see any battles there throughout the whole race, but of course on the final lap you've got to try it, you know, side by side on both apexes as well, really trying it. Hard to see from the angle that we were, where the one was pinching down on or the other, but they were certainly just pushing to the absolute limit with those cars. And let's see it once again.
Yeah, here we go. So, of course, the number 1 on the outside swings across. That is a very momentum corner. You do take it at quite high speeds. And, of course, Redford was a little bit ambitious. He come off the penultimate corner very much a little bit off the circuit. Was a bit ambitious, diving his nose up on the inside. But in times of this, in times of such desperation, when you're fighting so hard for it, Caruana didn't want to give him any more space than he had to.
Yeah, certainly didn't. On the outside there, on the outside of the final corner, it's so difficult. It is cambered a little bit, so he can definitely do it, but for sure it's so difficult to do. And he had to try. It was in second place, and in the end didn't work out. But good effort from those 2 guys gave us a really good battle. But as you say, Will Redford there, in the end, managing to get the lead by almost 5 seconds in the end.
It certainly was a dominant display from the 2 of them. It was Wilfred Redford that reigns victorious after 20 minutes, 17 laps of racing. Dion Santos in P2, with Partanen rounding off the podium in P3. Then comes Paquette and Losoid rounding off 4 and 5. Anderson just behind them in 6th. Poggi in P7, Moran in 8th. Daniel Kell getting himself inside the top 9 after starting P15. Fantastic race from the number 5 with Stein Sapp rounding off the top 10. Looking a bit further down with Mariano in P11. Towler, after a pretty, dodgy showing, it must be said, a couple of incidents from him, rounds off P12, and Marco Thur, again another driver who had a number of issues. P13, Telenes in P14, Harry Fox just behind in 15th, Gianni P16, Michael Cosgrave in P17. Caruana, after all of that, finishes a lap down in P18, joining the likes of Lewis McGlade and Araguaya as those that didn't make it to the checkered flag. And I have to say, Lewis, I am quite disappointed. The rest of those that didn't make it to the checkered flag, the likes of Borden, Buster, Collignon and Ted Bradbury, there in P24. A fast lap of a 10.4. So I think that is actually quicker than our pole time. Just goes to show how crucial that slipstream was today, Cam.
Yeah, slipstream would have been a massive help in qualifying, but obviously it's a private session with all the drivers out on their own one. But yeah, sure, that was a great race and a great spectacle, and just shows you, as you say, the slipstream in this car can really work out. Doesn't matter what tracks we're on. This calendar goes all over the world, but it always proves to be a good race.
Absolutely, for sure. And that's what we've come to expect with the iR-04 Challenge Series over, well, the half a season we had in Season 2 and the 2 races we've had for Season 3. It really has been fantastic. And I certainly cannot wait for next week, where we travel to Sao Paulo for for Interlagos, the Brazilian circuit. It is a fantastic spectacle. Again, expecting some brilliant racing from these guys, as we again have always come to know and love from all of them. It has been myself, Zach Sweeney, and Cameron Roger in the commentary booth, with Zach Johnson behind the scenes giving you the production feed. And yeah, certainly cannot wait for a week's time. We'll see you once again, same time next week. Take care, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.